Hello, welcome back to another fantasy football video. I hope everyone is doing fantastically well. Here today with something a little bit different. I'm going to be rating your guys' drafts that have been sent in for Game Week 1. Now, if this is a style of video that you do enjoy and you want your own team to be rated, drop a comment or hit me up on Twitter at FPL Jabs, and maybe I can do another one of these. But if you are new around here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like the video, don't forget to hit that like button, and let's get straight on into this one. So the first team here comes to us from at FPL Oreo Brown. It's got with the rotating goalkeepers at the back, Sanchez and Vicente Guaita. The defence is very interesting. I've not really seen this style of defence before. Going for Ruben Diaz, which I actually really do like, coming in at 6 million, obviously playing for Manchester City. Pep showed us last season that he is a man who just will not be dropped week in and week out and can easily pick up a comfortable 6 points per week. Sufal and Target are okay picks. I think West Ham have got okay fixtures up till game week 10, and obviously Target would be one that's needed to be rotated after about game week 3. Then in the midfield, Rafinha and Sarr. I do really like Rafinha, as I've discussed in plenty of videos for the season. That's a cracking pick. Sarr, actually, Watford do look like they have decent fixtures. Sarr, one of their main men going forward. I think he had the most kind of expected goals of last season, the most goals, the most chances created, and so on. So he looks like Watford's kind of main man coming into the season. Obviously, Salah and Bruno Fernandes coming in, the main pairing. Obviously, if someone didn't have those, I'd probably drastically have to drop the team down. The front three looking pretty good. I can't really complain about the front three, with Watkins having a really good first 3 fixtures. And I've kind of talked about, I think Watkins is a great player to have in your Game Week 1 team, as for those first 3 fixtures, they're very good fixtures. So it gives us a little bit of a buffer to then decide who we actually want in our front 3. Then Calvert-Lewin and Antonio look pretty decent as well. Calvert-Lewin, for me, actually being a must. Probably the only attacker this kind of going into Game Week 1 that I actually think is an absolute must. Then is where the kind of downfall of the team comes a little bit. I just think there's too much money held up in the defence. We've obviously got 2 4.5 million defenders of Cody and Fofana, who look, they look okay, but if you're not going to be playing them week in, week out, I don't think there's any point in having 2 4.5s. Maybe you could have Fofana and a 4 mil, or Cody and a 4 mil, and then Harrison as well coming in as a 6 mil defender or 6 mil midfielder, just to kind of sit there on your bench week in, week out. It's a little bit too much money held up in the bench, and that's why the rating of this team is going to be dropped down a little bit. If, we distributed the money a little bit better, got Harrison down to a 4.5 midfielder, Fofana, say, down to a 4 mil midfielder, and we ejected that money into the defence, say you got yourself a Robertson, a Virgil van Dijk, and even a Luke Shaw at the back. Luke Shaw is a player I'm really looking out for in these drafts. I think he's going to have an incredible season, and even a Luca Dean as well. I'm not too sure about the rotating goalkeepers as well. For me, it seems like Sanchez has a good enough first 10 fixtures, and the bad fixtures are only really against the likes of West Ham, the likes of Leicester, who obviously, you're not necessarily expecting a clean sheet, but if he does go and get a clean sheet, that's where he'll get the kind of 10, 11, 12 pointers from. So I think it's good to kind of play him through those kind of games. So in terms of the rating for this team, as I say, it's dropped down a little bit because of the money on the bench, and I'm going to be giving it a 7 out of 10, because I still think that midfield and that attack is actually very, very solid. As I say, if you just inject a little bit of that money into the defence, this could easily be an 8 or a 9 rated team. Now, in terms of the next team we are going to be looking at, it is brought to us by the FPL Corner Flag. Go follow this guy on Twitter, and I really appreciate it. Now, in goal, we have Sanchez and Foster. No rotation there. I really do like that. In the back line, Sufal, Van Dijk, Shaw, the main man, and Lamptey. Now, I have a few reservations about Lamptey. Personally, I'd quite like to see him play, a full, or at least a couple full 90 minutes before he's going to be going into my Game Week 1 team. I know I can see why a lot of people are kind of, putting him in their Game Week 1 teams, because obviously, Brighton have really good fixtures going through to Game Week 10. But also with Lamptey in there, you're doubling up on the Brighton defence, which, it's a cheap way to do so, to be fair. Lamptey at 4.5, Sanchez at 4.5. It really could get you those dividends. But as I say, for me, with the injury problems Lamptey has had, I'd like to see him play 2 or 3 90 minutes before he goes in my team. I'd say with Sufal, solid pick. Not really anything too wrong with Sufal. I do have a think that, Sufal for me is about a 7 out of 10. Whereas if you play 0.5 more for, say, like a Luca Dean, then I think he's really going to be the one bringing in the points in the first kind of 10 game weeks. Looking at the midfield, obviously, something a little bit different in this team. We've gone for 3 premium assets with De Bruyne, Fernandes, and Salah. And I think most people, as I say, I've decided on picking Salah as their captain for Game Week 1 already. The thing with going for the 3 premiums, it then leaves you a little bit short in terms of the rest of the team. You know, you've got Højbjerg coming in at 5 million. I'd even personally, potentially, if you're going to go with this team, play Fofana instead of Højbjerg for the majority of the season, as I think Fofana will end up getting more points. And with the attack, you know, Watkins and Antonio in there. Can't really complain about that. The only thing I would say is, as I said with the previous team, Calvert-Lewin for me is kind of got to be a must for the first 10 game weeks. So with that being said, with the way this team is kind of distributed, I've gone for a rating of 6.5 out of 10. I just think going for the 3 premiums leaves you a little bit short in the rest of the field. You can't really get, you know, the likes of Rafinha, the likes of even like a Buendia or a Sarr in there as your kind of 4th midfielder, and it does leave you a little bit short with the defense as well. So that's what I'm going with. And obviously the bench, I actually do like the makeup of the bench, you know, going for the 4.5 players with the defender, the attacker, and the midfielder. But as I say, this team coming in at a rating of 6.5 for me. Now, the next team we are looking at is brought to us by FPL Matharu, coming in with what I think is a very nicely constructed team here, with Sanchez in goal, obviously no rotation, with Ward there as well. The defence of Fofana, Trent and Dean, I do really like. However, Trent, maybe a little bit too expensive for me. I'd like to see maybe a Robertson or a Van Dijk, as it allows you to do a little bit more in other areas of the pitch. Obviously, that midfield for me looking absolutely cracking with the likes of Salah and Bruno Fernandes hitting all the right notes. We have Grealish and Rafinha. Grealish stays at Aston Villa for me. Absolutely cracking option. No way he won't be going into my team if he stays at Villa, especially for those first 3 games. As I've said for Rafinha, cracking option. The attack is the only place where I have a kind of little bit of qualms with this team. I guess it's just personal preference. For me, Ivan Toney is a wait and see rather than hop on him game week 1. Obviously, if he does get well game week 1, you know, I think personally I'm just going to provide myself the ability to then go and transfer him in rather than go for him game week 1, as we don't really know how he's going to perform in the Premier League. But if Brentford are going to score, probably they're going to be likely to come through him. Watkins, cracking option, as I say, for the first 3 game weeks. What I like the idea of is going for Watkins for the first 3. Then you can move on to the likes of Ivan Toney or the other strikers, depending on who is playing well. Bamford is an interesting one. Not really seen too many people go for him in their teams. If that was a Calvert-Lewin, honestly, I'll be rating this team kind of through the roof. But as I say, I still really do like the makeup of this team. Ben White, obviously, now it looks like he's going to Arsenal, but still for a 4.5 million defender at Arsenal, I actually don't think that's too bad at all. Gone for Basuma there for the 4.5 million option. One thing I will say is that currently you are tripled up on Brighton. Now, I had a thing last season where I tripled up on Aston Villa, where my goalkeeper was the kind of 3rd Aston Villa player. At the start of the season, I was thinking, I'm never going to want to triple up on Aston Villa. Goes through into the season. Obviously, everyone now starts to want to triple up on Aston Villa. So I'd choose probably a different 4.5 mil midfielder, just so you then have the option, if it comes to it, of tripling up on Brighton. Obviously, Brandon Williams looks like he could potentially get a move away to Southampton, and if he does, I think everyone will be hopping on him as a 4 mil defender. So what am I rating this team? I've decided to rate this team as an 8 out of 10. I think it's really well constructed. I like the fact that you've gone for kind of a good distribution across the whole of the part. You have some expensive defenders and some cheap defenders. The midfield is very nicely made, and the attack, obviously, as I say, if that was Calvert-Lewin in there, this could potentially be an 8.5 or 9 out of 10. But I think this is a very well constructed team. Maybe Luke Shaw in there as well, I'd be very happy with. But as I say, a very nicely made team. Now, the next team that we have got is made or brought to us by Oliver Wood. Thanks for sending the team in. We have Martinez and Ryan as goalkeepers. That is a very, very expensive kind of goalkeeper rotation there. I'd probably, if you want to go for Martinez, take Ryan out as well, because Ryan comes in at 4.5 million and probably isn't even going to play. So yeah, for me, Ryan, drop that down to a formal goalkeeper, and I think you're doing okay there. The defense is interesting with Target, Dunk, and Fofana. Obviously, currently benching Creswell, so I'd probably, if it were me, play Creswell over Fofana. But in terms of the rest of the team, I do really like the makeup. This guy said that apparently if Lingard doesn't get the move to West Ham, which apparently today he actually rejected the idea of a swap move to West Ham, then Harvey Barnes or someone else would come in that position, maybe like a Rafinha or someone. So that's kind of how I'm going to judge the midfield. And if that is the case, then I think the construction of the midfield, as with the last guy, very nice looking at midfield. Salah, Grealish and Bruno Fernandes, for me, just ticks all of the boxes. I think the front three as well, looking very, very nice. Iheanacho, Toney and Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin, as I say, cracking option. Iheanacho, definitely one I am looking at. For me, I have had him in pretty much all of my drafts. However, with the introduction of Daka, with still the potential of a little bit of rotation, I think I'm going to be putting in, say, like an Ollie Watkins, as I say, or an Antonio in there, just so we can see whether Iheanacho is playing. If Iheanacho is playing week in, week out, 100% straight into my team. So that's the only kind of thing I'd say about Iheanacho. And obviously, as I say, if Creswell plays instead of Fofana, then I think the bench is very, very well constructed with, a 4.5 mil defender, 4 mil defender, and a 4.5 mil midfielder. I guess the only thing that I kind of have wrong with this team is the construction of the goalkeeper, which doesn't allow you to put as much money into the defence. I still think Martinez, down to Sanchez and Ryan, down to just a 4 mil dud goalkeeper, would then allow you to inject a little bit more money into the defence. Dunk could go up to Shaw, Target could go up to a Van Dijk or a Robertson, and all of a sudden, this team is getting like a sort of 8, 9 out of 10. And so for that reason, I'm going to be going for a 7 out of 10 for this team. I still think that for the majority of it, it's a very nicely kind of constructed midfield and attack. Just reduce the money in the goalkeeper, and I think you've got a kind of 8, 9 out of 10 comfortably. So if you have enjoyed this quick little look at a few community drafts, please don't forget to hit that like button. If you want your team to get rated, feel free to put it down in the comments or hit me up on Twitter, and I'll be sure to make another one of these if this is something you guys enjoyed. But yeah, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.